Hey horror fans, Bored Now back with you. Today I'm going to be talking about the original Prom Night from 1980. That's a fantastic year, I'll just say, because year I was born, everyone. Spoiler, giving away my age there, oh dear. So, yeah, in case you've never seen Prom Night, full spoilers from the start of this review, but it's a very low budget indie slasher mystery, murder mystery type film, which I think definitely probably had quite a big influence on Scream, which is something I never really thought about until I rewatched it this time. It's one of the big early roles for Jamie Lee Curtis. She was already known for Halloween at this point, but this was another quite big early role for her. This is Trading Places. She's still pretty young in it. And the setup is that we start in the past and a bunch of kids are playing hide and seek in this rundown apartment building, and they start bullying a girl, and one thing leads to the other. She ends up going out the window and dying. We then cut to all these years later as a bunch of school kids, including the survivors from that incident, are getting ready for the yearly prom. And around about this time, a mystery person is contacting students on the phone, well, pupils, and it's the pupils who were involved in the incident who this person seems to be targeting. So he rings up giving them threatening messages, and as we build towards the prom, this mystery person, starts targeting these characters who, as I said, were the bullies, were involved in the incident. You also have Jamie Lee Curtis in the lead role, really. She plays Kim. She's the one who is probably going to become the prom queen at the end of the night. She has a group of friends. She has a boyfriend, Alex, who's sort of like a nerd type character. His father is the school principal, and he's played by quite a young Leslie Nielsen, so pre-Naked Gun Leslie Nielsen, probably at this point quite unknown as well. So you've definitely got a host of faces. Paul Lynch is the director, and it's a very, as I said, low budget indie Canadian movie, but something which was probably quite ahead of its time because of the murder mystery aspect. The idea of doing that in a slasher movie was quite original for 1980, I would definitely say. There's also similarities to Carrie, really, because of the build up to the prom, the big part the prom plays in the drama, and also you have this subplot with the bullies, a couple of bullies who are dating, who are planning this thing at the prom for the main characters. So this whole ruse and trick they're planning to pull on them, which I think is the film's way of making them suspects as well for this mystery person who's going around in a hood. Now, definitely they smack of red herrings, because I think that would be a bit too obvious, but that's partly the idea of having that subplot, I think, is it's like, okay, they could be the killers, because they're very cryptic about what their plans are and what they've got prepared for the main characters, so that's something where they're meant to be red herrings, I think. And I've watched it a few times now. I think this is my first time in a little while. And it's good. Like, it's really solid. It's quite well directed. I like the way it's paced, actually, because I do miss, movies and horror movies that are like just an hour and a half. This is just under 90 minutes. And I think for this kind of movie, that's a really good running time. And it uses the time very well because the way it paces it out is that the first half of the movie, you kind of get the tease of what the plot's going to be. You spend time getting to know the characters, and you slowly build to the horror stuff. You get a little hint of it because of like these weird sort of phone calls, but it's not really until halfway through the movie, until they get to the prom, where things start to happen with that. So I think they used the time very nicely, and yeah, it's quite well directed. The characters are, certainly the main characters are like likable. Jamie Lee Curtis very natural in a similar sort of role she was playing in Halloween. Her boyfriend Alex is also very likable. They do a good job of, like, there's a scene where he stands up to the bully who's really creeping on to Kim character, and there's a whole fight in the canteen between them and the group of friends. I mean, they're not the most amazing characters you'll ever see, but they're pretty grounded and quite likable, and they work quite well as like supporting characters, the friends. And there's little touches where, so one of the friends has like a thing with this character who goes by the name Slick, who's this really quite dweeby, awkward nerd of a guy. One of the early scenes is he pulls up in, he's got this really colourful van, which I really like, I've got to say. I think I was saying the other day, like, it's probably second only to the to Oz's van in Buffy. But they develop like a chemistry. She's actually quite charmed by him, and yeah, the film goes there. Like, you do have like an opposites attract type thing with them, where they actually get together. They go to the prom together, and they have sex in his van, which no, that's a big no in these movies, because this is one of the early movies which is establishing those rules, really, where it's saying if you have sex, especially on a prom night or that kind of event, you're probably gonna end up dead. And it's sort of one of those things where they have their big moment and you're happy to see it happen for them, but it then sort of seals their fate. And it's famous last words from the girl, really, because she has this line about, I'll remember this for the rest of my life, and she gets him to like say the same. And the cruel irony being the rest of their lives is only a couple of minutes, because they're killed quickly after that, and the film's sort of playing that about. So it's a fun movie. As I said, for the time it was pretty original. Some of the things we see in the movie have been done to death ever since, and the way the movie ends and the whole reveal, I think again for the time was quite a fresh thing to be doing. Now I think it's the sort of twist that you've seen lots of times since, and because of the way the movie opens, it's obviously obvious then whoever is doing the killing is going to have some sort of a link to that. So you can probably make some reasonable guesses, but there is a twist on top of that. Like, it does turn out to be someone within the group who you maybe wouldn't expect, who happens to have a link to the girl who was killed in the past. Because it is a very low budget movie and it has a certain 80s type thing to it, there's a couple of scenes that are a little bit hokey. So the opening scene and the way they're taunting the girl is a bit hokey. The way she falls out the window is a little bit unconvincing, so that looks a bit hokey. So there's one or two moments like that which aren't too great, which feel a little bit ropey and feel a little bit okay. You can see the budget here. I think for the most part they work around the budget quite well, and it's just a very simple, enjoyable to watch film. I didn't really feel that much for the bully characters, especially the guy. I thought he was a bit one note and boring, and in a way, you were just waiting for him to get his comeuppance. And when it comes, it is very satisfying. But I did feel they spent maybe a bit too long on those characters. Also, it probably suffers a little bit because of the similarities to Carrie, because it does seem to be lifting quite a lot from Carrie. But, strong performances. Jamie Lee Curtis is good. Leslie Nielsen in a more straight role is good as like the school principal. As I said, the boyfriend Alex does quite a good job in being likable. And once you get to the prom, there is some fun antics. And once you get to the horror stuff, those scenes are quite good. Like, there's a couple of good kills. There's a couple of like really nice decapitation scenes, because the girlfriend of Slick, after they've had sex, she gets decapitated, because after she does her whole speech, the killer pulls the door open and it's slashed, and that's a very effective way to do that. The bully character I was mentioning, who is about to be crowned homecoming king, go figure, because there's really nothing appealing about him. And Jamie Lee Curtis's character Kim is about to become homecoming queen, so she's gonna have to share a stage with that doofus. And that's another good reason why he got killed off. He gets his head chopped off before he can even come to the stage. So you're happy on two levels. You're happy because he had it coming the whole movie, and you're happy because Kim doesn't have to share a stage with him. And it's a great scene. It's a great kill. Like, the decapitation is very satisfying. Good sort of look to it. And there are some pretty tense horror moments in the back half of the movie. So the other bully, the blonde-haired girl who's been in a thing with the guy bully, there's quite a tense chase around the school with her being pursued. I'm actually surprised they made her as feisty as they did, and the scene played out as long, considering she was like a bully. But I'm not really complaining. It made for quite a nice tense scene. She could be like in track and field or something, this girl, because she dodges out of the way quite nicely from this killer, whoever it is, and darts around the school. There's a whole chase before she's finally killed. But it's quite a good scene. I think the horror scenes are really solid and well done. So, I mean, just build into the reveal, the whole twist eventually, which I'd forgotten about, is then it's revealed it's actually Alex. Because I was wondering about, well, we haven't seen Leslie Nielsen for a while, so I seem to have this weird feeling it could have been him. But before that, I was like, well, I think somehow is the girl still alive, if not someone related to her. So I got half of the twist. It is someone related to her. It's her brother, but it turns out her brother is Alex. So he's been on a revenge mission for the people responsible and been running through them. And he's got makeup on for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, when he's unmasked and he's basically dying. I don't know if that's just symbolic because of what happened to his sister. I was a bit confused about that, but the dramatic irony is then it's Kim who actually kills him, because you've got Kim and another character being pursued by him. And this is a really fun scene because everyone's cleared out at this point, and you've literally still got like the disco record playing, and then you've got the kill with the axe going after those two, and they're dodging about. Kim at one point gets the axe. So they're definitely playing into Jamie Lee Curtis's reputation at this point, and her being the final girl in Halloween. And you're always happy to see her play that part because she is very good and one of the best at it. So the scene on the dance floor is very entertaining as well, with this axe swinging and all this dodging about. And eventually, when they go after him, it is Kim who kills him without knowing who it is. But she sort of does, because there's a moment when they're still in the hall when she locks eyes on him, and you can see by her face she at least suspects who it is. So it's sort of interesting that she kills him off anyway. Like, I guess you could say she's not 100%, and it was desperation. Because I think he runs away and she's already stabbed him by the time he collapses. But it is interesting that she made the choice anyway to at least attack him. But in that scene, it is implied that she knows who it is, because she sort of sees the eyes. And yeah, it's a pretty cool way to end the movie for her, because she is responsible for killing her boyfriend and has to watch him die in her arms. And so it's a pretty decent twist, especially for the time, with the add-on that Alex was the brother all along of the girl, and that's why he's doing this. So you probably could have figured out then it's going to be like a relative, but the added twist is then it's Alex and he's the relative. So that's quite good, I think, especially for the time. And once again, that probably goes to some of the stuff Scream and other franchises has done, when a lot of times it will be like a family member, or like a hidden family member, or someone like that. So it's a good movie. It's a very solid slasher movie, decent mystery to it, but you don't have to take it too seriously. You can switch your brains off and have fun for the most part. One scene I will pick a hole in, which I wasn't too thrilled with, was there's a scene where one of the characters is like back in a locker room, and she starts having sex with this guy, and he starts getting a little bit rapey, and she's like, no, we're not doing that, and he gets jerky about it and just walks out. And I think his name was Drew, and she calls him a jerk. And that scene is mostly there just so that she can be like vulnerable then and be killed off by the killer, and that's what happens in the next moment. And it's a pretty solid little kill, like in the dark, and from behind slits her throat, I think. But it just annoys me a little bit that they got there because of like an attempted rape, because that didn't really add anything. And like, it would have been nice maybe if the jerky guy who got rapey had got his as well, but instead he just goes back out onto the dance floor and picks up another gal. So that was annoying. I mean, I get what it's doing, because the point is then Alex is going after the people who bullied his sister and was responsible for the death, and that guy isn't. So I get why it's doing it, but they still could have done something where the Drew character got in the way and he took him out. I mean, but it just felt like a bit unnecessary to have had like the attempted rape just to make her vulnerable for the kill. I think they could have cut that bit out, but there you have it. That's one blank mark against the film. But as I said, for the most part, it is a very solid movie, and I enjoyed rewatching it this time. So that's Prom Night, and I'll give it 7.5. I did have fun with it. And I guess I will return one time, and I will do the sequel as well, because there is a Prom Night 2, which tends to happen when movies like this are successful. And that will be a first time watch. I've never seen the second Prom Night, so you can expect my review of that hopefully quite soon. But thanks for listening, everyone. If you want to support the channel, you can do on patreon.com/borednow, or you can become a channel member, which I will link in the description. Thanks for listening. Have a great October. See you soon.
There's a special night in the lives of all of us. A night to be beautiful, to be desirable. A night we can break all the rules and make our own. Prom night. Everyone at Hamilton High is getting ready for prom night. It's a day of rehearsals, arrangements, final preparations, and last-minute phone calls.
Nick?
Wendy, do you still like to play games?
They're too old for games, but someone still wants to play.
What?
Callie, it's been a long time. Tonight, it's my turn.
Everything is on.
Tonight, someone has come to the prom alone. Someone who watches in the silent corridors.
Callie.
Someone who waits until no one can help. Prom night. If you're not back by midnight, you won't be coming home.